Welcome back. The priest shortage has been severe, but the statistics for women religious are even worse. In 1965, according to one study, there were nearly 180,000 sisters in the United States. Last year, there were less than 60,000. Here to talk about the state of religious vocations for women, Sister Camille Hampton with the Little Sisters of the Poor, Sister Maria Lourdes Prieto, a novice with the Little Sisters of the Poor, and Elizabeth Scalia, who contributes to Inside Catholic and who runs the blog, The Anchoress. Thanks so much for being with us. We truly appreciate it. There's news that the Vatican has initiated what they call an apostolic visitation of institutes for women to take a look at these severe drops in the number of women religious in the United States. Sister, how do you feel about the Vatican paying this kind of attention and doing this study, so to speak?
Actually, we're quite happy because it shows an interest the Vatican has in the state of religious life in the U.S. And as you said, the numbers have dropped, and something needs to be there needs to be an encouragement for women religious because they have a vital part to play in the church in this day. And so we're really hopeful that it will be a source of regeneration.
Do you think the Vatican, those sisters, worried that they feel like they've got to take some very strong steps?
I think so, but I think that's a good thing. As Sister said, the Church, I believe, is taking the step to reaffirm women religious. And as Sister said, the necessity and what a great vital role and pivotal role women religious have in society and in the world. So we think that the concern of the Church to come and visit women religious is great. We're open to it because if there's anything we could do to improve our outreach to other young women, or whatever we can do to better our communities and persevere in our vocation, we're open to that, so we're happy.
Do you think that some of what's going on here is because there's been a blurring of the lines between lay people and religious in the Catholic Church? Lay people have taken on so many of the tasks that the religious orders have traditionally done, even during, the Mass with deacons, et cetera, et cetera. I'm curious about whether or not there is this blurring of the lines means that maybe people are unclear about what the role is of women in religious orders.
I know the Vatican has reaffirmed time and time again that all the baptized are called to holiness. That's the Christian vocation. And they've said many times, too, that religious life, we're called to the same holiness, but we're called to a closer following of Christ, a more intimate following where God is our all. And that's usually, for apostolic religious, it's manifested in the service that we render in the Church's mission. And I think that probably does need to be more clear, but I think it's beautiful that the lay people are really taking their part in the Church and they're making a big difference, and I think that's vital at this time too.
Elizabeth, I find this hard to believe, but there was a point when you seriously were thinking about being a nun. Can you tell me about that process and what happened? I mean, you were very seriously involved, right?
Yeah, I was seriously contemplating becoming a Poor Clare. Which is a cloistered order, not an apostolic order, basically praying all the time for the world. And
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time digesting that, knowing your personality, but go on.
I can be very quiet sometimes. And this is something that the lure of monasticism was very strong in me, and it still is. I'm a Benedictine oblate now. I still pray the office. I simply do it as a layperson. In my case, I prayed and really kind of stomped my foot at God and demanded. I said, if this is what you want for me, there's all these obstacles, make it happen, and if it's not what you want, then show me what you have, because darn it, I want an answer. And that very night, I got my answer, and I met my husband that night and knew immediately. The moment I saw him, I said to my aunt, who is he? And she said, well, he's my cousin was going off to become a Capuchin, and this was his going away party. And I said, is he going to be a priest too? And she said, no. I said, well, good, because I'm going to marry him. So the switch was a light switch. I went from Poor Clare to
wife.
To wife, overnight, literally. The mindset flipped overnight.
So you would say then that God did, after you stomped your foot, God did give you...
I think that if you ask God to tell you what he wants of you in your life, or I think if you say to God, what do you want me to do? God will always tell you. If you can eliminate some of the noise and allow that answer to come in. And I think part of the problem with vocations, I think, is not that God's not calling. I think it's simply that there is so much noise in the world, and particularly our young people. They have Facebook and they've got iPod and they've got the constant input that they don't have that quiet space anywhere to hear the small, still voice. I don't think God has ever stopped calling. I just think that we have to find other ways to get people to listen. That's why I love Seeing the Habits, because it's another means.
But sometimes can't the habits almost be an obstacle? Because there might be young women who say, I don't want to have to dress like that and be different from the rest of the world, even though I will be because of my vocation. I'm just curious about that.
Actually, we don't see that so much with our congregation. What we have been offering young women is to come and see. And it's a non-threatening opportunity to either come and volunteer in our mission or to come and spend a few days in prayer with us. And I think they are able to look beyond the habit and see women, consecrated women, dedicated to the Lord, dedicated to their mission. And I think that the habit, it's more than the habit that they're searching for. And it's not a hindrance at all.
Sister, was there an aha moment for you when you knew that you wanted to be a part of the religious order?
Yes and no. Like our brother seminarians were saying, it was somewhat of a gradual process that entails a lot of prayer. But for me, the aha moment, like our brother seminarian, there was two. The one aha moment is the moment of surrender. That's the aha, that I'm not in charge. As you said, God, asking God, what do you want from me? And to really say, whatever it is you want from me, I don't care. That's that surrender. I surrender it all to you because you know best. So that was an aha moment for me, that grace to surrender and to conform to His will out of love. And then after discerning with the Little Sisters, they also have a great opportunity for young women who are especially interested in our congregation to even live in the home and work or volunteer full-time, but at the same time be exposed to the sisters' prayer life, their work in the home, but still have that separation, but still follow their way of life and prayer and service, and get a better idea of whether or not this is what God is calling them for. And so I was privileged to have that experience. And so during that year, after prayer, lots of prayer, God really revealed to me, I want you to be a little sister of the poor. And to say yes, that's a great moment, a joyful moment.
I'm sure it is. We thank both of you, Sister Camille and Sister Maria Lourdes, for being with us today. Elizabeth, you're going to stay right here because we're going to continue to talk about vocations and the efforts the church is making to bring more men and women into the religious orders. So we'll be back with some final thoughts after this.